Hey everybody, here's a different scripture verse testing method, and it's essentially a multiple choice template. First, I found a timer online, and here it is. Then I made a multiple choice grid for each scripture verse on Microsoft PowerPoint. I then voice-overed only the beginning portion of each verse on my video editor, which is called Vegas. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And this is the confidence that we have in him. I then overlaid the timer into the video frame on Vegas. And that's it. I actually have hundreds of similar video exercises that I've made for my son over these past 7 years. And so here it is. I call this homemade exercise Verse Fragments. Now, if I can only find a student to test this on. Oh, here he is. Blessed is a man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
Psalm chapter 1, verses 1 and 3.
Good job, son. Good job.
Be not deceived. God is not mocked.
Galatians chapter 6, verse 7.
Good job, son. You did it.
The Lord shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 7.
Good job. Good job.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart.
Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6.
Yay. Good job.
For the word of God is quick and powerful.
Hebrews chapter 4, verse 12.
Good job. Good job, son.
But there were false prophets also among the people.
2 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 and 3.
Thou therefore endure hardness.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verses 3 and 4.
Good job, son. Good job.
I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God.
Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2.
Excellent. Excellent.
No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper.
Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17.
Yay.
Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage.
Joshua chapter 1, verse 9.
Great job, son. You're doing fantastic.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Ephesians chapter 6, verses 12.
Excellent.
And this is the confidence that we have in him.
1 John chapter 5, verses 14 and 15.
Excellent, son. Excellent.
Blessed are ye when men shall revile you.
Matthew chapter 5, verses 11 and 12.
Yeah. Good job.
For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh.
Second Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 and 5.
You got it. You got it.
Almost.
All scripture is given by inspiration of God.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17.
Excellent, son. Excellent. You're doing great.
And these words which I command thee this day.
Which one is it?
And these words which I command thee this day.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 6 and 7.
Excellent, son. Excellent.
Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned.
You don't know this verse, but try to guess it.
2 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 and 3.
That's not it. Try again.
Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 13.
Yay. Good job.
But don't tell
Jesus said, suffer little children.
me. Matthew chapter 19, verse 14.
Excellent, son. Excellent.
Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God.
chapter 6, verses 13 and 17.
Excellent, son. Excellent.
The grass withereth, and the flower fadeth.
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 8.
Yeah, buddy, yeah. Good job. Doing great.
Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended.
James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4.
James chapter 1, verse 2 and 4 is, my brethren, count it all joy.
Check it out.
This one is, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended.
Oh, let me see which one it is. Uh-oh. We don't have it. Philippians chapter 3, verses 13 and 14.
Good job, son. Good job.
But don't tell me that I don't know.
For I am the
You
Lord
know
your
it.
God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves.
This-
For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves.
Leviticus chapter 11, verse 44.
Good job, son. Good job.
If my people, which are called by my name,
2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 16 and 17.
That 2 Timothy chapter 3 is, all scripture is given by inspiration of God. This is, if my people, which are called by my name.
Maybe 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.
Good job, son. Good job.
But don't tell me.
forever, O Lord.
You can do it.
Psalm chapter 119, verse 89.
Good job.
Be anxious for nothing.
Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 and 13.
That's not that I speak in respect of want.
But this one is Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 and 7.
Good job. Good job.
But I say unto you, love your enemies.
Aha! Matthew chapter 5, verse 44.
Good job, son. Good job.
Except the Lord build the house,
Psalm chapter 1, 27, 1.
Good job.
be sober, be vigilant.
Aha! 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8.
Good job. Woohoo!
But they that wait upon the Lord,
But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 and 5.
That's, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the
No,
flesh.
no. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31.
Yay! Woo!
for I am persuaded that neither death nor life,
Romans chapter 8, verses 38 and 39.
Yay! You're doing fantastic.
my brethren, count it all joy.
James chapter 1, verses 2 and 4.
Yeah, buddy. You're doing great.
Thy word is a lamp unto my feet,
All right, let's see. Psalm chapter 119, verse 105.
Yeah, buddy. You nailed it.
so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth.
Isaiah chapter 55, verse 11.
Great job, son. Great job. You're doing
Preach the word, be ready in season and out of season.
2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 2 and 5.
great. Good job. You did it.
Oh, it's the
I can't believe